that ripped right, but that didn't work for the first 2 times. Anyways, guys, that's how I felt when doing this MOC, guys. That's how I feel about the power creep problem right now in Honkai Star Rail. Now, I was of the mindset for a very long time that Honkai Star Rail power creep problem, it was really like people were just hyping it up, right? Now I feel like that's a bit different, right? Because I did see a comment in my comment section the other day saying people hate Honkai Star Rail because of all the power creep problems coming to the game. The devs are lazy, this, that, and the other, right? And I was like, for a second, I was like, that's copium. What the fuck are you talking about? And then I might be late to the party on this, but I played Mach 11, right? I went through MOC this time, right? Now, I personally pride myself on doing guides and guide content for like a casual or free-to-play player, right? I don't like over-investing in my characters. If we take a look at my characters right now, you will see some investment. Look at Sunday. Sunday has 169 crit rate, 138 speed. I don't speed tune at all here. He has meshing cogs, right? Like, other characters on my account. Aventurine, he has Japard Light Cone, 4700 defense. We can keep on the list here. We have her with her signature Light Cone. We have her with free-to-play Light Cone. We have her, this is the most invested character I have on my account, is Topaz. Ruan Mei, free-to-play Light Cone, no investment on Eidolons, nothing like that. We have her with her Light Cone. You get the point, right? I like trying to make guides with free-to-play content. I try to make guides not even using characters on their signature Light Cones. And why do I do that? Because I feel like most players that play this game are very, very casual players. The loud majority are normally these super sweaty ass gamers, and you probably won't get today's video, right? And that's fine. You can hate on me or say what you want. Like, why are you a guide maker then if you just like don't do all this investment, if you just like throw stats on the character? Because when I build my characters, right, I just build with the baseline that you can do. I get the base. I don't search for gear. I really don't. You can take the stats at any of my characters here. You can take a look at most of the stats here. I really don't invest much into like the actual relics. I don't grind much for the relics and stuff like that. I have a couple of sets in the game that I personally can use. Like, if we look at ratio, I have this set right here that I use, but I alternate this gear in between other people. Like, I really don't have that much investment into my characters that a lot of people have. And you might say, well, why do you do that if you're a guide maker, right? Like I said before, I like making guides good for casual and free-to-play players that are not spending any money on the game, maybe spending a little bit of money in the game. They don't play the game that much. They literally log into the game once a day, farm there, whatever, and then kind of level up whatever looks good, right? That's the audience that I want to cater to right now. The reason I'm making this video today is because what I said at the beginning of the video, power creep. Power creep has been super prevalent in the game, I feel, this particular patch, and maybe past patches as well. And I'm not necessarily talking about power creep within characters, right? Because I think there's an argument to be made that, you know, characters always get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, right? I mean, we can take a look here at just the tier list, right? I mean, like, all the characters at the top here, really kind of new characters being added to the game, right? Like, a lot of these characters, except maybe Ruan Mei, I think, is the oldest character at the top of the list up here. Maybe Topaz is too, right? But you get the point I'm trying to make here. A lot of these characters here have been power crept. Look, you see Zila down here in tier 3 now, basically unusable. You see Jingleyu down here. You see Blade down here. Kafka Swan used to be one of the best things in the game. There's obviously power creep, but I think the bigger power creep is with enemies themselves, right? Because enemies are becoming to the point where you got to play with certain niches and also the stage buff that MOC provides you to beat it. Right now, with this one right here, this stage buff right here is really kind of dark shit, I'm not gonna lie, but the HP is the problem, right? If we take a look here, this is my Mach. I haven't even beaten Mach 12 yet. I haven't even tried it yet, but I just went through and beat Mach 11, and I want to say this is probably the hardest time I have ever had in Memory of Chaos on Mach 11 in my whole time, right? I had my first team of Ling Shaw, Ruane, Harmony MC, Rappa, with Topaz. Like, look at this stacked ass team right here, right? And like, I have all the signature characters. Like, we have Ling Shaw. Like, they're not built the best. I'm not gonna say they're built the best, right? Like, none of them have their signature light cones here. None of them are E1 here, except obviously for Harmony MC, which is E4. No extra. Well, she has Eidolons, like I said, it's super invested into. But all of these guys, like, one signature light cone, two signature light cones, everyone else is good there. Like, stats are okay. It took me 10 cycles to beat this shit. Now, you're gonna say, it's skill issue. Genuinely, I don't think it's a skill issue. I think it's literally a DPS issue. Maybe I could have beaten in 9 cycles, sure. But the problem with this is, right, with having almost 2 full teams of signature 5-star characters, it was genuinely hard for me to beat this, right? It was on the fringe line of me beating this or not. And that's what leads me to what I want to say today, right? I really hope that Honkai Star Rail doesn't continue down this path of the power creep that they currently have in the game, because it's becoming harder and harder and harder for free-to-play new players, casual players alike, to really beat the content. I think what's happening right now is they are putting much more of a focus on vertical investment to actually beat the content versus horizontal investment, right? We're getting to a point in the game right now where you can't just go into the game and pull, let's say you want like a follow-up team, you want to run every single character, right? I think we're coming to the point in the game where you really can't do that anymore. You really need this vertical investment on your account now to really start beating the content. Because honestly, guys, if I didn't have the investment that I had on Mach 11 here, like if I didn't have Topaz E1 S1, and if I didn't have Fei Zhao S1, I was not going to beat this event because first sight here took me so long. I don't like that we're going in this path because then it makes people, I understand what they're doing, right? You create a problem with making the enemies harder and harder and harder. So that means you're kind of making players put in a situation where they had to spend more money on the game, but they can't play all the characters you want now. I just don't like that. I think that is very greedy of them to do. I think that everything should be in the game should be able to be beaten with standard characters, with maybe if you're running an older character, have an above average build, right? And if you have one of the new signature characters, run an average build, you can beat it. But we've come to the point where if I ran a Jing Yuan team, one of the older Jing Yuan teams right now, I would not be able to beat this content with Jing Yuan. My Jing Yuan is E0, he has S2 on him, not gonna lie. Would not be able to beat it. If I was running just Dragon Danny on the team, which I tried, even on, like, MOC 10, I tried using Dragon Danny on MOC 10, took him 5 cycles. I tried using Dr. Ratio on MOC 10, took him 5 cycles. Guys, these are just with mediocre builds as well. Like, these builds, I would even say, are maybe even a little bit above average considering what I have on them. Dr. Ratio had 78 crit rate, 146 crit damage. I was, of course, testing him on a team on Sunday. Probably not his best scenario, but still took 5 cycles to beat that there. Just because the enemies have so much HP now. It is so hard to kill these fucking enemies now that the multipliers of our old units that we have in the game are not keeping up. So either A, they need to bring down this HP fucking bullshit of the enemy, or B, they need to be buffing some of these older characters we have in the game. And like, sure, I love that Jing Yuan got a buff from Sunday getting added to the game, right? That does not fix the issue of Jing Yuan. If you don't have Sunday, that does not fix Jing Yuan's issue. We need buffs to some of these older characters, especially with the consistency that they're releasing new characters on. This is not like Genshin Impact, right? Genshin has so many fucking reruns that it's unimaginable. We practically get a new character every single patch in this fucking game, right? At least one new 5-star every single patch in this game. There's been one time that I can recount that we didn't get a new 5-star, right? One time. Other than that, though, every single patch we've had has been a new 5-star, and it puts you in a position where it makes you feel like you have to horizontally invest because all the characters themselves are getting power crept, but maybe these characters now don't match up with the meta that you had before, so that means you now have to vertically invest into these other characters to match them up. So say I pulled a Sunday, right, and I didn't have Jing Yuan's signature Lycone. Blood, he is shit out of luck. You're not doing damage without his Lycone unless you have an insanely good build. And I feel like most casual players and most free-to-play players are not going to have these like super godlike builds to beat the content now. Let's take a look back at the Pride Win tier list now to really like emphasize it. Like Zila. I think Zila, as much as I shit on her, can be good. But the problem with Zila is you need such a fucking godlike build to make her even usable now that it just doesn't make any fucking sense. And I get that this is mostly just a rant video, guys, but I really did want to talk about the power creep. This is a massive, massive problem that I think the Honkai Star Rail devs need to address, because it's kind of getting out of hand at this point, right? Coming from me, that's played the game since day one. If you haven't been playing the game since day one, and you're like a fairly new player, like within the last like 3 to 4 months, are you beating the content without like super sweaty tryhard builds? Like if you're a super sweaty tryhard, I don't give a fuck about your opinion because you're not the demographic I'm targeting this towards. I'm talking to these super casual players that don't have much on their account. They play the game maybe like an hour a day, if that, maybe an hour, 2 hours every couple of days. What is your experience here? That's what I'm curious to know, because I know it's getting harder and harder for me to really like showcase characters and make these character guides and do builds and stuff like that for these characters at like E0, S0, super free to play friendly, like super free to play friendly builds. I trash my good relics. I try to trash most of my good relics because I don't want that to be showcased in the video. Because I feel like that's a problem with a lot of content creators. I'm not shitting on other content creators, by the way. I feel like when they start getting nitty gritty into the numbers and stuff like that, they start wanting the best build possible. They want to show off how much damage they can do and stuff like that. And that's cool. If you want to do that, that's fine. I'm not gonna fucking shit on. I'm not shitting on you for that. The problem is though, is that with my content, I try to cater to that casual player, meaning I don't go in for the full grind. The point I'm trying to make here is, if you're a casual player and have casual builds, this game is becoming almost to the point where it's kind of unplayable for you. That's the vibe that I'm getting from it, right? I play this game every couple days. I sign into this game every couple days. I try to do my shit and get on with my life, right? I haven't done Mach 12 yet, so maybe it'll change. Maybe it was just Mach 11, right? But I feel like the HP difference here and how hard this took me to struggle to beat this shit, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not gonna cope to you guys and tell you I beat it in fucking... Oh, dude, it took me 1 try to beat this shit, bro. It took me 0 tries. Fuck that. This shit is hard, guys. It's becoming to the point where if you have an older character in your account, they're kind of almost unusable unless you super vertically invest into those characters, like get into the higher eidolons of those characters, get them into the higher superimposition of those characters. On top of that, using the newest of new support characters as well, or using the newest of newest sustain characters as well to help aid them, because they still can't output enough with insane builds on top of that to even get through some of the content now, right? I like making guides on like 4-star characters and stuff like that. I feel like the majority of the characters in the 4-star selection here are super hard to actually bring into any of the in-game content and actually complete the in-game content with, especially if we're talking about DPS. Maybe some of the supports are fine there, but DPS wise, very, very hard to make like actual guides and tell people to actually build these characters just because the content's going to be so hard. I think there's really only 2 exceptions here. Probably QQ, and I mean, probably Herda, and then also Luca as well. I know Luca's low on the tier list, but I think he does have a situation where he's really good, especially against the Venturine, but that's besides the point. Overall, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sorry for my little rant here. This will probably be not that edited. I just kind of wanted to get this off my chest and talk about it because, yeah, I struggle like a motherfucker, and it's definitely not a skill issue. It's definitely a Honkai Star Rail bullshit fucking power creep issue. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Later. Bye-bye.